was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago! Oh my God! Kane with the overtime winner!
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6" Kane Cunningham.
Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions! Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
You know, you look back at that.
All I could think about was that intro last night.
It might not be the best end of play-by-play highlights we play to open the show. Welcome on a Friday. You made it through the end of the week. I know you're shaking your head, and so am I. Dylan Larkin at the end of that rip right there, scoring for Team USA. Will he ever score again for the Red Wings? That's the big question. You know this. If you were listening to the Huge Show yesterday, he was talking about it. Dylan Larkin has reportedly, because it's not been confirmed by him, the agent or the team, has been asked to be traded. 11 years in Detroit. He's been the team captain since January of 2021. 6 times he scored 30 goals or more in a season. He's a gold medalist. He's made the playoffs once in his NHL career.
Played in more Olympic hockey games than he has played in Stanley Cup playoff games. Just a wild stat.
6-5. Just to put that in perspective. It's an excellent perspective. 6 Olympic games, 5 Stanley Cup playoff games. This is going to be a really touchy subject with people today and throughout the offseason. It already has been. And I understand why. I do. I get why people feel betrayed. It's why it's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Nick Consanica is going to join us at 7:35 to talk about it. He was at game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals last night. That was an unbelievable game. I hope you're watching it. We'll get to that here coming up. But, you know, Dylan Larkin, people view it as jumping ship. People view it as a coward. People view it as a guy who is giving up on his franchise. I remind you, I'm not trying to justify it because I'm not. I don't like this at all, especially when you sign an 8-year extension, especially after some of the things that you've said that Andy and I will play for you throughout the morning. But you and I are pissed at Steve Yzerman in general. I'm generalizing here. Hasn't done enough. Isn't that what I hear all the time? I hear this from Red Wings fans regularly. In fact, we hear it from the media. We see it written, we see it on TV, and we hear it on radio. We hear it on podcasts. The Detroit General Managers Association, if there was one, Brad Holmes, Steve Yzerman, Trajan Langdon, Scott Harris, have they done enough at the trade deadline? The consensus from you and me and everybody else is no. That the Yzer plan isn't working. You and I complain about it every March. The team captain complained about it a year ago and was told by the masses, do more. Now, after seeing what Steve Yzerman didn't do at the trade deadline, he's got to hold on to those guys in Grand Rapids because they had an unbelievable year, right? Where are those young guys that are going to be such impactful players? Where are they? Forget about the fact that, you know, you've got a lot of journeymen. And we had one on a few weeks ago, and Dominic Shine, love him. Awesome attitude, great guy, captain, big reason why Grand Rapids was successful this season. Although if this were the Red Wings and they did that type of incredible AHL equivalent NHL regular season, if they didn't come through and win it all, you would be complaining about that too. And so would I. What a waste of a season. People in Colorado might be doing that.
Those players in Grand Rapids are down on themselves about it for sure.
Yeah, sure they are. But we act like it's a bunch of, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds, and it's not. We act like some of those young guys are going to be so impactful, all they need is a little seasoning, and that hasn't been the case. So we complain about that. How do you think it makes the guys who are in the room on a regular basis working and living that every single effing day? He's had enough. You're not going to do anything to make this team better? I want out. I don't like it. But can you not understand where the frustration would boil over? We'll get to that throughout the morning.
Man, there's a lot to dig out.
There's a lot to unpack. Gutsy comeback win for the Hurricanes last night to even the Stanley Cup Finals. Carolina was down 2-0 in the third, only to respond with 3 goals. Went to overtime. Canes get the game winner from Seth Jarvis to win it 4-3. A lot of people complaining about Seth Jarvis going into the game, saying that he hasn't done enough. Brett Howden had 2 goals for Vegas. Shane Gostisbehere had 2 assists for Carolina. This is the first time in NHL history the Stanley Cup Final was tied at 1-1 with both teams having multi-goal comeback wins. Vegas was down 2-0 in Game 1. Carolina was down 2-0 in Game 2 and came back and won. Carolina, by the way, is also the first team since the 1944 Montreal Canadiens to win a Stanley Cup Finals game after trailing by multiple goals in the final 10 minutes of regulation. 13 postseason wins now for the Hurricanes on the year. Tied for most by any team in their first 15 games. That's how good they have been in the playoffs. 2022 Avalanche won 13 of the first 15. 2012 Kings, 1988 Oilers, 1987 Oilers, and 1981 Islanders. What do they all have in common? They all won the Stanley Cup. All 5 of those teams hoisted the Stanley Cup. I mentioned Brett Howden scoring 2 goals for Vegas. You want an unbelievable statistic? Here it is. Brett Howden has 13 playoff goals. Do you know how many regular season goals he had? Take a guess. How many regular season goals?
5.
12.
12, okay.
So he's got 13 in the postseason, 12 during the regular season. No other player in NHL history
pretty cool.
has scored a dozen or more goals in the regular season and then surpassed it by a total in the postseason.
That's crazy. That's a crazy stat. Wow.
That is a great statistic. Tigers start a weekend series downtown with Seattle. Seattle's won 8 of 10. Framber Valdez against Brian Wu in the opener. Detroit 14 up, 14 down at home. Seattle 14 up, 14 down on the road. Some good news yesterday. Sam Laporta and Terry Arnano participated in Lions practice during the walkthrough. NBA Finals resumes tonight in San Antonio with the Knicks up 1-0. And in golf, 1 round of the Memorial is in the books. JJ Spawn, and Wyndham Clark, Tommy Fleetwood, Ryan Gerard, all at 5 under par after carding 67s. Because Scotty Scheffler has won the last 2 Memorials, people want to know how he did. He was even. No, he wasn't even. He was even when he blew up at his caddy, Ted Scott, that made the rounds. He finished at +1. All right. He shot a 1 over 73, which Andy and I would take every single day of the week. Scotty Scheffler, not necessarily so. And you can't blame him. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. We have one for you every single day. We ask you today, it's about the Dylan Larkin situation. How do you feel? He was part of the problem. I understand why he wants out. I feel betrayed. Red Wings could use it for a major rebuild. Get your mindset on that. Vote as often as you want at XP Mornings. The results come your way on Monday. We'll get into the Dylan Larkin situation when we come back on X's and BrO's. Stay with us.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3?
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're referring to Dylan Larkin of the Detroit Red Wings. And, when you think of bombshells, that's as big a bombshell as we're probably going to get leading into the offseason post-Stanley Cup. So I think there's need for a little bit of an explanation here. This has been in the works for a while. I think that's pretty obvious. You don't just wake up one morning as a top player and go, okay, I've been here 11 years, whatever it is, it hasn't worked out. Time for a fresh start.
Darren Drager of TSN in Canada, well-respected voice when it comes to the sport of hockey, very much in the know. And the Larkin trade situation can be a messy one. And I think a lot of Red Wings fans are pissed off, like Dylan Larkin is pissed off. Andy, when you talk to your friends about this, when you talk to anybody about this, what's the first reaction they give you? What is it that people are saying about Dylan Larkin right now?
Well, it's interesting. It's mixed. Well, at least for me yesterday, because right when this happened, actually, I got to my golf league. So a few of my friends I golf with obviously pay attention to the Red Wings as well. One of them was like, it's kind of sad just because he was more sad about him leaving in general, just because he's been here for so long. Another one, when I walked over to we hit at the range before we play. When I walked over him, he was already hitting, so he hadn't seen his phone or anything, or that it broke. He immediately gave the explicit him. So he was more in the camp of screw this guy for leaving.
Yeah,
So
and I get
it's-
that. I think we're hypocrites. I do. I think we always talk about how we want guys who want to be here.
Right.
Dylan Larkin's dream, growing up in Waterford, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit, playing travel hockey in all its great travel programs, playing at the National Team Development Program in Plymouth, playing at the University of Michigan, playing in Grand Rapids, playing for his hometown team. Do you think he went about this nonchalantly?
No, I don't. I don't think so.
You've got guys on that team who grew up wanting to be Steve Yzerman, wanting to be the Detroit Red Wing.
Yeah.
That was their dream, okay? We all have dreams.
He said it.
They were living their dream. Can you imagine how much it weighed on him to say, I don't want to be here anymore?
Yeah.
I don't have confidence in people in the front office.
It has been conversations with multiple people, probably some of his teammates off that USA team, on other teams and stuff too. Should I do this? Should I ask for this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure he talked to Steve himself about what they were going to do this offseason and all that. I bet a lot of things play into it right now. I don't think he just walked in one day and said, I'm done like that.
He can't, there's no way. I mean, otherwise he never would have signed the extension. You know damn well, just like I do, okay? We've got to be real when it comes to this stuff. You know damn well as I do that the Red Wings and your trust in Steve Yzerman has waned.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being
and you're an outsider. You and I are outsiders.
Exactly.
We're watching strictly from what we think he could have done. I'll guarantee you that the Quinn Hughes decision had a lot to do with this. Quinn Hughes traded from Vancouver to Minnesota when the belief was, and Dylan Larkin knew this firsthand, that Detroit was the place that Quinn Hughes wanted to come to. Steve Yzerman wouldn't part with the draft picks or the young talent that Vancouver was requiring in return. Minnesota was willing to do it. Steve Yzerman wanted him to sign a long-term deal. I understand that point of view. To me, at the time, Steve Yzerman was a little short-sighted. Now, I did agree that I would want my guy to sign a long-term deal too. However, couldn't you make it an experience with him in Detroit that would almost force him to sign a long-term deal? I don't want to go anywhere.
Right,
this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on with this franchise right now.
Yep.
the fear that this is becoming a place guys don't want to come to.
And you don't.
How many times did we hear or read on social media the constant, who wouldn't want to play for an original six? Wait a minute. How many of these guys truly understand, truly appreciate what the original six has always been? So I was not one of those guys who felt like, okay, that's an original six. Players are going to want to play there. This is not the 70s where people looked at it and go, oh, man, there's nothing like playing. There are so many different places that are run well with outstanding facilities, solid fan bases, and things of that nature. How many times have you heard an athlete say, we've got the best fans in the world?
Oh, plenty of times. It's
okay.
Replayed all the time.
Yeah. They say it about Carolina, don't they?
Yep.
Carolina, I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? Compared to the original six franchises, they say it about Vegas. They say it about Florida. Panthers players said it all the time when they were winning back-to-back cups. Easy to jump on board for that.
Same people were going to Tampa games probably.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So it's nostalgia, and I get it. And we're proud that we're part of an original six team. And I get that too. But you can't sit there and try to tell me that is a difference maker anymore.
No,
it's not.
You got to put yourself in Dylan Larkin's shoes a little bit here too, because that whole fear of, players not wanting to come here and stuff. Like, imagine being on the team, the last few years, like as a fan or a viewer of the Red Wings, that you like this team, you love them. And obviously it's been gut wrenching for you to go through the past bunch of Marches. Imagine all that. And then going into this offseason, I don't know. I'm not like saying I know anything, or I'm sure he's had some kind of conversation with Steve. And if he didn't think things were going to go in the direction to where it was going to get better, you got to imagine he's like, well, what am I doing here? I'm about to turn 30, all that stuff.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, so there's two ways to look at this. If you're a fan, if you're a Red Wings fan, the way you're looking at it is, you know what? Why don't you become part of the solution?
Right.
His response to that might be, I've tried to be part of the solution. I've lived through a rebuild. The rebuild is 9 years deep.
Yep.
And we're not, do you see us getting any better? Have you wanted somebody at the trade deadline to come in and help make a difference? There are so many different things that I was thinking about when I was diving into this. This trade, there's domino effects deeply with this. What happens? Like Steve Yzerman has traded captains before. He did it in Tampa, but he waited a year to do it. He's traded young, not even just young, but he's traded talented players before. He traded Jonathan Drouin. He waited to trade Martin St. Louis, now the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, to get the right deal. So my question would have been, is he going to do the same thing in this situation? Can Larkin really wear the captain's C, knowing that he has come out and requested a trade? Does this mean that you have to trade him sooner than later? Does it mean you're going to trade not just him, but more players?
I mean, how could he come back and wear the C at this point? If it's real, like if he doesn't deny it, that's crazy to me. Okay,
so you take it away, you give it to Mo Seider. All right, you're not giving it to Michael Rasmussen, who's now the longest tenured Red Wing, which makes you throw up in your mouth.
Yeah.
But
One C.
So you give it to Mo Seider. What do you do with Dylan Larkin? Is he still your number one center? Seriously, I mean, he's going to be in the room. You're not in the room all the time, Andy. You're Steve Yzerman. You're not in the room all the time. You're Todd McClellan. You're not in the room all the time.
Right.
How much concern do you have about him poisoning the room? And I'm not saying that is a reflection on his character, because I think he's got high character. But seriously, I mean, those are some of the things. There's more to talk about on the other side. Nick Consanica, NHL.com, will join us 7:35. Stay with us. We're just getting started on a Friday morning, plus the Friday six-pack at 8:18 on X's and Bros.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
You think of Dylan Larkin. I mean, it feels like he was born and raised to play with the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, right? Like, that's where he's from. So for Dylan to get to the place where he's requested a trade, that tells you that there's been a lot of thought. There's layering to all of this. I mean, the man has a family, and I don't think it's as cut and dried as him, wanting an opportunity to win, and he doesn't see that opportunity in Detroit. I think that's maybe where it starts, but then there are multiple layers that go beyond that. How did he get to this point? Did management do enough to insulate him?
Darren Drager again from TSN yesterday during the podcast. Excellent point. It's the first thing I thought of. First thing I thought when I heard that Dylan Larkin has requested a trade. He's tired of waiting. He's tired of hoping. He is disgusted by this team's unwillingness to trade for something better.
There has to be a part of
the poor decisions,
that
quite honestly, the poor decisions that Steve Yzerman has made.
Like, no matter
he's fed up with it.
No matter how you feel about him, and giving up maybe on the Red Wings, or you have to understand that, because as a fan, you're probably frustrated the same way.
Absolutely,
how he hasn't made the moves.
No question. The difference is, you as a fan, you're always going to be rooting for who's ever in that uniform. Like Dylan Larkin, he gets traded this offseason. He comes back, he's getting booed. Guaranteed getting booed. And I'll tell you why he's getting booed. Because this is how people feel, right or wrong. Over the last 40 years, their captains have been Steve Yzerman, who played his entire 22-year career, won 3 Stanley Cups as a player, and is a Hall of Fame player. Then it was Nicholas Lidstrom, who played his entire 20-year career with the Wings, won 4 Stanley Cups as a player, and is in the Hall of Fame. He passed the captaincy down to Henrik Zetterberg, who played his entire 15-year career, won a Stanley Cup as a captain, and I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Fame, but he's revered, okay? Dylan Larkin, ... Steve Yzerman, 75 playoff games by the time he was 30 years old. He played 75 playoff games before he was 30. Nicholas Lidstrom, before he was 30, played 123 playoff games. Just trying to put it in perspective for you. Not trying to convince you one way or the other. But he played 123 playoff games before the age of, or by the time he was 30 years old. Henrik Zetterberg played 110 playoff games by the time he was 30. And Dylan Larkin has played 5. So as you try to use that as an example, I want my captains here to be lifelong Red Wings. Otherwise, I'm going to boo you. You'll say that. Then in the next breath, you will complain, bitch and moan, and rightfully so, that this team isn't doing enough to get better. And when Dylan Larkin says, I agree with you, we haven't done enough to get better. We haven't drafted as well. We haven't traded. We haven't signed the right free agents. I am tired of it. I'm out. You're never out because the emotion stays with you. You'll never be Red Wings free. You may have been Lions free for a while because you can't believe that they actually had people like Russ Thomas and Chuck Schmidt and Bob Quinn and Matt Millen in your front office. I can't believe this organization is signing Matt Millen to another contract. I'm done. I'm checked out. I'm going to rake leaves. I'm going to cut my grass. I'm going to go to the cider mill. I'm going to play with my kids. Forget Sunday afternoons. You're not doing that with the Red Wings. It's nighttime. There's nothing else on. You want to watch them. You've always been a Red Wings fan. You'll always be a Red Wings fan. You turn off the TV. You're pissed off, but you move on. You play euchre on your phone. Dylan Larkin can't do that. As much as he was a Red Wings fan growing up, as much as you are, playing for that Red Wing wheel sweater, and hoping to lead them someplace, it just hasn't connected. One guy can't necessarily do it. By the way, he's not the only captain who's been viewed as a trade candidate. Austin Matthews in Toronto, Connor McDavid in Edmonton, Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa. Guys want front offices to do more, just like you and I do. The difference is you and I look at it and say, you're part of the problem. What'd you sign the 8-year extension for? Why don't you go recruit? Maybe he's tried to recruit. So many layers to this. And by the way, this is also going to affect what this team does this offseason with other players. Are you going to re-sign Patrick Kane?
Yep. It's like, I would say like Gibson, maybe even DeBrincat. They look at trading if they're going to go full rebuild. I don't know what.
Well, I don't know, but I know Alex DeBrincat's got another year left on his case. He's going to be a free agent after next year. And he's going to warrant a hell of a lot more money than he's getting right now. He just scored 40-plus goals. So there are layers, without question. You and I will have to get used to new players as primary role players, not as just filtering in. How does Justin Falk feel about it? He's got another year left in his deal. He came here thinking he was going to help this team reach the playoffs, and he was going to play with some really good players. Suddenly, that mindset that Steve Yzerman has to acquire is completely different, right? The big challenge, perhaps the biggest challenge for any general manager, not just Steve Yzerman, but for any general manager, is I've got a player who is sour on my organization right now. I don't have a great relationship with said player, and that's pretty obvious. I'm going to trade him because of all the other things that we've already talked about. Can he really wear the C? Can he lead this team? Can he be in that locker room? Can he have a voice in that locker room? How are the hometown fans going to respond to him? How are his teammates going to respond to him? I've got a player who wants to go someplace else, and he probably has a pretty good idea of where he wants to go. I want to go play in Minnesota, whatever, right? He knows it. You know it. Minnesota knows it. Where's the leverage? How do you trade a guy to a place he wants to go and you get the return you feel is necessary, knowing that that other team knows the entire situation as well? He wants to come here. You're going to trade him here. Now, that may not be the case. You know, if Steve Yzerman, he could actually go, hey, listen, you want to trade? You got it. Now, he's got 2 years of no trade clause. So Dylan Larkin can sit there and say, wait a minute, you're thinking about trading me to Anaheim? Wrong answer. I'm not taking that. This is going to be a very difficult
it's
negotiation.
It's going to be tough for Steve Yzerman, for sure.
And here's the other thing that really makes it tough. There's not a better center on the market. I mean, if you look at the free agent list, there's nothing special there. That's why we said the Red Wings aren't getting better just through free agency. Red Wings are going to have to trade some pieces to get better. You know, that's why I brought up the Rob Thomas situation. Would you love to get a guy like Rob Thomas from St. Louis? Absolutely. You trade some young pieces for that. You've got yourself really a frontline center. If you want to put him at center 2, go right ahead. That would make you instantly better. Is there any way Steve Yzerman could make it a different trade to appease Dylan Larkin? Probably not now. Once you've said those things, once you've made that demand, it's hard to get back from that. How do you think Max Crosby felt when the Ravens pulled out of that trade scenario with him? He's probably pretty pissed, right? He doesn't want to talk about it anymore, and he's said as much, right? Okay. Now think about that from a Dylan Larkin standpoint. You can't, once you've made that move, once you've decided, I'm done, it's hard to get that emotional connection back. It's hard to reacquire the trust.
The only way would be to make the playoffs and do something. That's really the only way. It feels like at that point.
But that means you got to go through 82 games with him.
Exactly.
82 games on buses, 82 games on flights, not 82, but you understand, a regular season. 82 games of the media asking him and the teammates and the coach and the general manager, and when the owner pops his head into the room, what up with Dylan Larkin?
And it's already something like when you talk about the locker room, the presence of him being the captain, like you and I don't know the answer to this, I guess, but it's like, I mean, how the last 3 years have been the way they've been. Like, how has he been? How has he been?
In March, you're saying?
Yeah, in March. Yeah. I mean, just kind of when it started going downhill. And I mean, if you watch some of the post-game stuff in the past, it looked like he was not even there. You know what I mean? Like, he just looked like he was having a hard time finding words to describe. Sometimes they were losing. He had to talk to the media. It's like, I
pissed.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
And I just wonder like how he was with the team at that point. Like, I mean, was he thinking this the whole time? Has he been the best leader the last year or two? Like, would it be good for them to actually have a new captain? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of things I've been thinking about.
Let me ask you this. He goes to the Olympics and the Kachuk brothers and just about anybody you ask, what do they say about Dylan Larkin? When asked about him, what did they say?
Good leader.
One of the best leaders I've ever been around. He showed all kinds of leadership, did he not?
For sure.
Well, then why are we questioning that? Because he requested a trade? Why are we questioning his leadership ability? You can question whether or not he's a number one center in the league or not. That's fine. Go right ahead. He's not Austin Matthews. He's not Connor McDavid. He's not Jack Eichel. I get all that. Whether or not he's a one center, fine. Debate it. Now we're going to start questioning the leadership? Are you telling me he's helping Steve Yzerman get off the hook? Before this request was made, if I asked you, grade Steve Yzerman as a general manager, most people would give him a failing grade.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, instead of focusing on Steve Yzerman and the lack of activity that he had at the trade deadline, Justin Falk saved, and an unwillingness in the offseason to do something to make this team better in most every single offseason he's been in that chair, people are going to focus on Dylan Larkin and saying that's the leadership that was the issue. Here's the other thing it does.
Personally, for me, that's why I don't want to blame Dylan Larkin, because I've been not about Steve Yzerman the past few years.
Right. And then it, obviously it's a trickle up effect. How far removed was your owner from these types of feelings?
Well, let's remember
not recognizing
last year.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, can you really have him opening night being on this team? Opening night is supposed to be special. Come on in, everybody. Welcome to LCA. It's another season of an Original Six Red Wings hockey. They just celebrated their centennial season. Welcome to year 101 in the history of an Original Six season. Here's your captain, who usually gets announced last. Here's your captain, Dylan Larkin. Boos rain down. You know what it's going to require? It's going to require a pre-production meeting by the folks who run the in-stadium production. And they're going to say, crank up the music.
Seriously.
Right? Because we don't want to hear the boos. You don't want to hear that on Detroit Sports Network. What you want to hear is something other than that. But you're not going to get cheers. You're going to get boos. So play the music a little bit louder. Send the fireworks and that explosion a little bit louder. Lastly, what does this do for your prospects, the timeline, everything else? Is it shoved forward? We've got to get better right away because I got 1 year left. Or is it reeled in where the general manager and his front office staff go into the owner's office and say, guess what? This now kicks this reboot into a different phase. It's going to take us longer than we originally thought. You watch a lot of sports movies like I do, no doubt. You have watched, I'm sure, Moneyball.
My favorite movie of all time. Yep.
It's very unrealistic, by the way. I don't want to pop your bubble there, but
I just like it.
It's completely Hollywood-esque. But anyway, when Brad Pitt goes into the owner's office and the owner says, what do we see? How far are we away? We think we're going to be 500 by the start of July. And what makes you think this? Well, the numbers tell us so. When Steve Yzerman goes into Chris Ilitch's office, what is he going to say? He's going to say, our captain, arguably our best two-way player, Mo Sider's the best at what he does on the team. Alex DeBrinket's a better scorer. Patrick Kane's a better assist man. But Dylan Larkin's your best forward. He's your best 200-foot forward. Steve Yzerman would go in there and say, he wants out. That means what we're going to have to get for him, there's two ways to look at it, Chris. We can look at it like he's the best center on the market now, who's going to be available, unless Toronto decides to trade Austin Matthews, unless Connor McDavid is somehow made available, which would be ridiculous. So you can look at it that way, or you can look at it like he's got us by the neck because he wants out and he wants to go a certain place. We can't start next year with him on this team, so we've got to appease his desire. And that means the rebuild that we thought we were getting closer toward the end of now puts us in reverse, and we're back to middle ground. Those are the things that I've been thinking about on where this team goes. How do they deal with this? How would you deal with it?
I don't know. It's crappy. It goes back to last year in a way too, with like Larkin and Yzerman. I mean, if you remember, he kind of Larkin made the public comments about how he didn't get help at the deadline. Basically, I mean, indirectly. Then this year, he does give him the help, but unfortunately for Larkin, he had the injury like a game or two after they acquired Justin Falk, and I don't really ever think he was healthy after that. So I mean, that might be something that's going into his thinking too. Maybe he's like, man, like this just isn't working out no matter what. It seems like no matter what, we can't find a way to get through this. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. How shocked are you at this development?
Me personally?
Everybody's frustrated.
Yeah, I'm stunned.
Okay.
I don't even know. It's like hard to think about it.
Here's the other thing. What does it say about the entire organization? This is not just on Steve Yzerman. It can't be. This has got to be with the front office in general.
Yeah.
And his
I
frustration. Agree. Okay. So I don't mean to just pinpoint it on the general manager, but these guys are fully aware. They see everything that takes place. They note how it's gone over an 11-year span, your association with certain individuals. There's no question. There's times where he's driving home after a loss or a victory, and he's thinking to himself, how is this guy still doing that job? How have they not replaced Mark Howe in your pro scouting department, for example? That's whacked. Think about that for a minute. That is insane. That the organization can be that successful with a guy like that in the role, and then they just go, well, I think we're going to wait. We'll put it off for a while. We welcome your texts, Sports Radio 21,000. We welcome your phone calls on the Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843, or in the chat here as we stream live on YouTube, X, and on Facebook. Brought to you by Mitchell.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan. One of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lions season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contest or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan. Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com. What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Yes, I have been here, 10 years, and I think for a lot of those years, you go into the season and you want to make the playoffs, but realistically, was that going to happen? I think you'd be, I'm trying to say there were some years where it wasn't really what we were trying to do. I understood what was going on with rebuilding and getting draft picks, and I'd say the last 4 or 5 years where Mo and Lucas have arrived and become star players, in my opinion, and we've been pushing towards the playoffs, and it hasn't happened, and we weren't going to win the Stanley Cup the next day, but I wanted to be here, and I want to be here to help this team in any way I can to win the Stanley Cup. And
months ago, Dylan Larkin on a podcast. Tell me what's changed between then and now. What has happened where he's noticing certain teams make runs in the postseason and that he's not part of it anymore?
Yeah,
he's got the contract, so it can't be a contract dispute. If it was a contract dispute, that would have happened when he signed the contract extension, and he probably wouldn't have done it for such an extended period of time. Am I wrong there? Who does that? Who looks at a contract and says, you know what, you've screwed me over in this negotiation. I hate the way you handle these negotiations. I'm done with you. Oh, for 8 years, you and me together, side by side, hip to hip, boom, 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 there's my name. Nobody does that. It has to have been something where this team has failed, he feels, failed its players in its vision of getting better. What that is, we won't know until we actually hear from Dylan Larkin.
Yeah, that
Excuse me.
that soundbite was actually from like the exit meetings. That was like the presser after that. So we do.
So it wasn't even 2 months ago.
Yeah, so we do have the other soundbite from the podcast. We'll play at some point probably as well.
Okay, so that was from the end of the year.
Yeah, it's like the exit meeting one when they all have to talk at the end. Yeah, when the season's over. That was like his initial like reaction pretty much to everything.
Okay, after settling in, what could have possibly changed?
Yeah, because
you're watching these teams. You're watching Vegas, use it as an example, come together at the right time, go 7-0-1 under John Tortorella, and then make this incredible run. Right? Maybe he saw game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals and said, Vegas came from 2-0 down. Road teams were 0-55 when trailing by multiple goals in game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals in the history of this pursuit of the hardest trophy to ever win. And our team can't do that. I mean, was it a conversation with Steve Yzerman where we said, I got news for you, man. Michael Rasmussen's going to be here next year. What? No way. Are you kidding me? That's impossible. I don't know. But I do know that it's justified not to ask or demand a trade, but it's justified to be really frustrated. If you and I are frustrated, think of how frustrated he must be. This is not a situation where Patrick Kane is asking to come back for another year because I'm holding on. But I've also got 3 cups. I just want to keep playing because I like it here. And I like playing with Alex DeBrincat. Via text from our friend Freddie. I haven't heard anyone bring up the head coach angle on this. Any chance Larkin took the just jerseys out here as one of the coaches was calling out? Larkin one day will be more appropriated the way Stafford was when he won elsewhere. It's crazy how it's playing out exactly how Stafford did. Yeah, so I agree with that. I think the interesting and the difference is this. With the Red Wings, we've seen greatness. We have seen leadership, quote unquote. We've seen a guy like Yzerman and Lidstrom and Zetterberg especially Lidstrom, when things were going great, he had the young guys come out and talk. When things weren't going very great, he spoke. But let's be honest. Outside of Yzerman, early in his career, and there was speculation that he would be traded to Ottawa. Maybe that was Scotty Bowman trying to kickstart him a little bit and make him into a better player. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a good thing that he wasn't traded. That's nothing but success. Most of Yzerman's career, through Lidstrom's full career and Zetterberg's full career, there's no reboot there. There's pick up and keep going. That's 25 years straight of making the playoffs. This dude has played 11 years and has made the playoffs just once, and that was at the tail end of Zetterberg's run. So why do we think that it's any easier for him to accept than you and I to accept? Just because you and I have the emotional tie to it? I've got his name on my back, for crying out loud. I'm wearing this jersey. I'm paying my hard-earned money every single night, and they're not winning. They're not making the playoffs. Damn it, this organization sucks. But if Dylan Larkin says, I'm doing blood, sweat, and tears in the offseason, during the season, doing my best, and this team's not making our team any, this front office isn't making our team any better, I want out. What's the difference? Phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. You can join us in the chat as well as we stream live on X, YouTube, and on Facebook. Let's play that other bite from Dylan Larkin from a couple of months ago. So the last one we just heard was at the end of the regular season when this team again came up short. Forget about they had as many points as some playoff teams from the West. It doesn't matter. You can't play that card. They didn't make it. They've got the best. They play in the hardest division in the National Hockey League. Everybody knew that going in. Did you not think that was going to be the case? We tried to tell people that before the season began. We said, look, the NHL's Atlantic Division is the hardest. Tampa's not going anywhere. Montreal's better. Boston is tough. Florida's won back-to-back cups. Toronto feels like they've still got superstars enough to win. I don't think many people saw what Buffalo did. I don't think they saw that coming. We thought it was going to be a very difficult challenge. 92 points for Detroit. You saw some improvement there. That's as many as Utah, who made the playoffs in the West. It's more than Edmonton, or as many as Edmonton. And Anaheim, more than Anaheim, that made the playoffs. That's the way it goes. Sometimes there's an imbalance there, okay? It happens just about in every sport, too, by the way. You think teams last year, think about it for a minute, in the NFL, and you saw the standings, and you saw Carolina reach the postseason at 8-9. Do you not think the Detroit Lions, to a certain extent, said, man, we're 9-8. We're better than Carolina, and we're not making the playoffs, but they are? And on top of that, they're hosting because they won their division? So it happens in every sport. There's nothing you can do about that. Everybody knew that this was going to be the toughest division in the National Hockey League, if you follow hockey at all. So what did that team do? What did the Red Wings do in the offseason to make themselves better? Not nearly enough. You and I recognized it. Dylan Larkin's living it. That said, if you're a leader, you think this is the right way to go about it? Hell no, it's not. Now, I'll guarantee you, nobody wanted this leaked. Red Wings didn't want it leaked.
Yeah,
Larkin's
no way.
camp didn't want it leaked either.
No.
But when you make something like this, and of course, your team receives that news, they're going to start calling around. There's going to be feelers out there. You have to expect that. You've been around long enough to know that something's going to get leaked. Quick timeout. We're brought to you by Meyer. Nick Constantine at the bottom of the hour to talk about just this very thing and the Stanley Cup. This is X's and Bros.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick Six meal for two. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com, that's BIRDEASE.com/Drive Out Parkinson's to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and Bros and The Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/Drive Out Parkinson's or contact me at MitchLyonsWealth.com for more info.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at Tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Yeah, I mean, it would mean a lot. I could tell you right now confidently, winning a Stanley Cup would mean a whole lot more than that. And that's the ultimate goal. Steve's our GM now, and I signed a 8-year deal here because I believe in him and I trust him. And, like seeing this video right now, that's what it's all about. Not just making the playoffs, but trying to win. And I think as our team is growing, we're growing together, and Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond have helped take the pressure off. And it's not just about me. When you think about the Red Wings, it's about a handful to 10, 15 guys. And I think to be a winner, you need 25, 30 guys that are going to be, I guess not 30, but 25 guys that are important and all leaders.
Dylan Larkin on that podcast that we were referring to earlier, just a couple of months ago. So there's a couple things that
trust Steve Yzerman.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a couple of things that stand out. One is trust Steve Yzerman. Okay, you need about 25 guys. You need more than that, right? But you need 25 players. But you need more people in your front office doing something like that. So there's a couple of revealing thoughts from that conversation that he just had, and the video that he was watching had to do with Steve Yzerman raising the Stanley Cup, and how great would it be for him to do that. I would note this: it's not as much about a captain getting traded. That's happened a lot. Nick Foligno, Braden Shen, Brad Marchand was traded from Boston to Florida, won a cup. Chris Chelios was traded here to Detroit, right? Dion Phaneuf, Eric Stahl was traded. Jack Eichel. I brought up Jack Eichel earlier in the show. He was traded from Buffalo to Las Vegas. Claude Giroux, Eric Carlson. These are excellent players, right?
Steve Yzerman traded Martin St. Louis.
Martin St. Louis, yeah.
For
and by the way, Ryan Callahan was also traded.
Yeah.
And he was a captain. Ron Francis was traded. Jaromir Jagr was traded. These guys are captains, okay? Jerome McGinley was traded. Joe Thornton, Ray Bourque, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier. These guys were traded as captains of their teams. The difference is, the belief is that Dylan Larkin has requested one. You don't just do this on a whim. There has to be a belief. You may think he's in the wrong here, and that's fine. He sure as hell isn't blameless in this whole situation. This is not one of those things where you're like, okay, Yzerman hasn't done what this team is supposed to do, so he's got to be wrong here. But the fractured relationship between the two had to have reached its peak. You can have differences all you want. We had mentioned earlier in the show, Scotty Scheffler and his caddy, Ted Scott, pissed off because he flushed a 7-iron on a par 3. What did he do? They didn't judge the wind enough. It hit a bank and rolled into the water. It's funny to people like Andy and I, because judging the wind, are you even thinking about the wind that much?
Nope.
I'm thinking about just getting it on the damn green on a par 3. That's all I care about. But I digress. There's going to be all kinds of disagreements. It's at the point of no return. Thank you, Sticks. There's at the point of no return to try and get it back. Something must have happened. You don't say that 2 months ago on a podcast where you trust him, you signed an 8-year deal, nothing would be better than winning a Stanley Cup. You're giving that up. You're basically saying, I can't win a cup here. There's a number of things that you're admitting by asking for a trade. I was going to say demanding a trade, but asking for a trade. I want out. What are those things? Don't feel you can win a cup here. Can't work with the front office. Don't have enough good players. We can speculate about a few other things too. Don't get along with the coach. I doubt that. They've moved on from coaches. He's had Jeff Blashill. He's had Derek Lalonde. He's got Todd McClellan. Todd McClellan's an established coach. You can't work with Todd McClellan? Maybe the problem is you, especially after a short period of time. You've got players that he probably looks around in the locker room and thinks to himself, how is that dude still here? How are we playing these guys instead of certain other players? I've tried to go out and recruit, and I can't seem to get anybody to come here. That's frustrating to me. But there has to be some type of disconnect that has been expanded between him and the front office, whether it be Steve Yzerman, Chris Draper. I don't know who it would be. But being that was supposedly close with Yzerman, I mean, think about it, you guys. That's his hero. Growing up in Waterford, Michigan, is there a kid who played the sport of hockey and loved the Red Wings that didn't want to be Steve Yzerman? All my kids, my sisters didn't even skate, but they love Steve Yzerman. There's a picture of Steve Yzerman right across from me right now, and it says commitment. It's about commitment. I've got different things up in my man cave, if you will. Steve Yzerman, it's 1984 picture of Tiger Stadium. It's Barry Sanders, right? It's the first game at Comerica Park. It's the first game at Ford Field. It's a 1984 shot of the sun coming through or light coming through the clouds at Tiger Stadium in 1984 when they win it all. It's the production line at Olympia Stadium. It's the 1968 Tigers, 1984 Tigers. It's Briggs Stadium. Every kid who grew up playing hockey in the state of Michigan, including Dylan Larkin, all said, that's my guy. I also like Brendan Shanahan. I also like Chris Chelios. I also like Mike Vernon after he beat the hell out of Patrick Waugh on March 26, 1997. I like Darren McCarty. I like the grind line. But every kid wanted to be Steve Yzerman, including Dylan Larkin. And now Dylan Larkin's going to say, you know what? My hero ain't what I thought. That's got to be really tough for him to say that.
It's got to be really hard for him to say. Because he's probably thinking exactly that right now. Like, he just has not gotten the help since he's been there.
Deep conversations with some of his best friends.
Tough, man.
Zach Werenski. I can't believe the lack of urgency that our organization has. I mean, this is not a situation where he's Alex DeBrincat and he's only been here for a cup of coffee. Or he's so young in Lucas Raymond, he doesn't know what's better for him. Seriously. This is a guy who's been here for 11 effing seasons. And he's seen Steve Yzerman work for 9 seasons. He was probably really excited about that. Oh my God, my hero's coming back as the general manager. At some point, he's like, I wonder why he didn't do this. I wonder why he didn't do that. I wonder why he did do this and did do that. I'm telling you, I think the Quinn Hughes situation or his unwillingness to trade for Quinn Hughes is a big piece to this puzzle. Had a chance to get one of the best players at his position. I know where he finished in the Norris Trophy voting, but he's won a Norris Trophy before. You cannot deny the impact he made on the Minnesota Wild.
And he'd be playing with Mo Sider. Like,
right.
Can you imagine?
Why? Because I want to hold on to Simon Edvinsson.
Right.
Okay. Let me know the next time there's general managers in a meeting going, hey, guys, just show of hands. We'll have another beer here, another round. This is all off the record. Anybody think Simon Edvinsson's the best defenseman in the league? Anybody? No. Anybody voting for him for Norris? No. Anybody think that about Quinn Hughes? Hell yeah. That had to be a big part of it. We'll see. We'll get a feel. Nick Consanica knows Steve Yzerman well. He knows Dylan Larkin well. He knows the NHL as well as anybody. He was at Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals last night that saw Carolina win in overtime, 4-3, and even the series up. He's going to join us when we come back here on X's and Bros. Stay with us on a Friday morning, brought to you by Meijer.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
We talked about this the other day. One of the coolest things I've seen recently was how the NHL presented the Norris Trophy Award to Grosse Pointe native Zach Werenski. Nick Consonica was part of that. He's the one who helped set it up. It was awesome video content. I texted Nick, a good friend for a long time, gifted writer and journalist and now TV guy too, that it was really neat. And he responded, and I appreciate that. And then the Larkin news breaks. So I thought it would be a perfect time to talk about a little bit of everything with Nick Consonica. NHL.com joins us here on X's and Bros. Nick, I know it's a short morning because you were up late watching that overtime win. Congratulations on all the great stuff. Just real quick about the Werenski stuff. How did that come about? Can you share that story with us?
Well, there's no NHL award show this season, so the NHL's been creative about how to sort of distribute the awards. I played a very small role in that. I mean, I didn't help come up with the idea. It just so happened that I was coming back to Detroit just to take 2 games off during the conference final at the same time that they were going to give the award to Zach in Grosse Pointe Shores. And it's funny, they first asked me just to go cover it. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, well, if you're there, can you help us? Can you ask him some questions? And I'm like, sure. And long story short, I'm the one who ended up sort of distracting him while they crept up behind with the Norris Trophy. We were pretending we were doing a Father's Day story because he had his first child 2.5 weeks before. His whole family was there for their typical Sunday barbecue and didn't know. And it was a really great moment because he turns around, there's the Norris Trophy. You know, this is a kid who grew up in the Detroit area, idolizing Nicholas Lidstrom, went to one of the Red Wings Stanley Cup parades, and now his name's on the trophy with Lidstrom. So very special moment. It was really cool to be a part of.
That's storybook stuff. You did a really nice job with it. So his family didn't know he was getting the Norris Trophy either, did they? Or I was trying to figure that out from the clip. Okay.
Yeah, only his wife and his brother knew the secret,
Gotcha.
Right? Because the wife was in on it because they had to sort of arrange it and get the camera. You know, they hid some cameras in the house while Zach was playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
So that they could get some cool footage. But those were the only 2 who knew. So his parents didn't know. Right, his other extended family didn't know. And you could see the joy, in his parents' faces, right, when sort of the big reveal happened.
And your interview with his father, I mean, you could tell that was real too. It was fantastic. So a job well done. Speaking of natives, and I want to get to the Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals from last night because you were there, and now you're on your way to Vegas. You've known Dylan Larkin for a long, long time. You've known Steve Yzerman even longer. You've covered this franchise for the bulk of your professional career. When you hear that he allegedly wants to be traded, what's your initial reaction? How do you think, and where does your mind go?
Well, it's extremely disappointing, right? I think whatever the reasons are, whoever you want to blame, it's terrible that it's come to this, right? And I want to talk to Dylan or hear from Dylan. I want to same thing with Steve to see what happened here. I have a lot of questions, right? Is it as simple as that Dylan wants to play in the playoffs and doesn't believe Detroit's the best place for that? Mm-hmm. Is it because of a breakdown of their relationship, going back to contract talks and what happened at the end of last season? There's a lot of questions that I have, but this is a homegrown kid who grew up in the Detroit area, played all of his hockey in the Detroit area from Bell Tire to National Team Development Program to University of Michigan to Grand Rapids to Detroit. He's the captain. He's said he wants to be in Detroit. He's always said that. I believe he wants to win badly. And it puts the Red Wings in a terrible spot because, Dylan has a no trade. So the other question is, how restrictive will he be, right? How difficult will he make it for the Red Wings to get, an appropriate return? So, it's tough, right? Now on Dylan's side, right? Like he just won a gold medal. He got a taste of winning, right? He's wanted it so bad the NHL hasn't been able to do it. He plays a role in that. Like he's at fault for, his role in the last two collapses down the stretch. But he's got to look at Mitch Marner, who left Toronto, his hometown team, and is now playing in the Stanley Cup final with the Vegas Golden Knights, right? There is life beyond your hometown.
Right.
This is his time for leverage, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. But I think it's really a shame, on both sides that this is the situation that they're in.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate, and it really has kind of, I think, made this organization look a little vulnerable. We assume that anybody who plays the game of hockey, and I've said this for a long time, hockey players know the history of their sport as well as any athlete that I've covered. How much do you think an original six label means to hockey players these days, that you could play for an original six team?
Well, I think it depends on the player. You would think it means a lot to Dylan, right? Like his dad's from Toronto. He's from Detroit. He knows what the wing wheel means, right? And I think it means a ton to Dylan. And I think it still means it could still mean a ton to Dylan. But you also realize that you're turning 30 this summer. The clock's ticking, right? Like a player doesn't have, 100 plus years of history. He's got a few years to play his career, right? And if he doesn't think he can make the playoffs in Detroit, or something else is going on behind the scenes, then he's got to make a decision, right, for himself. So there's a lot there, right? So you're balancing that history and the pride and just, the not quitting, right? Like not quitting. Like don't you want to see this through? Like you signed the contract to be in Detroit, said you wanted to be in Detroit, right? You want to be part of this. And now you're saying you don't want to be, right? So that's a big question. At the same time, like you have limited years to do this, right? And you have a leverage point right now. Anyway, like if you're Steve Yzerman, now you've got a dilemma, right? Your captain has asked to be traded, right? The one thing I'll say is, he's turning 30 this summer. Other pieces of what you're hoping will be a core, of at least a playoff team, are younger, right? Like Mo Sider and Lucas Raymond, and maybe this is an opportunity to get younger, right? Find a center who's more, in their age range. I don't know. It's going to be very difficult to do. But I'm also not in a hurry if I'm Steve. Like, all right, Dylan, that's what you want. We're going to do what's best for the Red Wings. And I'm going to wait, and I'm not going to trade you until I find a return I think is appropriate. And obviously that's better before training camp. But if it's not, I remember the Colorado Avalanche going into the season with Matt Duchene, and they didn't trade him, right? And they waited until I think November before they found the right deal. Happened before. So it's a mess. But I don't think Steve Yzerman is going to feel, that he needs to accommodate Dylan until he can get what he thinks is a decent deal.
Yeah, and he's done it before, as you know, with Martin St. Louis.
Martin St. Louis, right?
Yeah, he didn't trade him right away. What do you think the biggest challenge is, though? If I'm Yzerman, look, I got you under contract. You're going to have to make do with this. What do you think is the biggest challenge for this organization? Is it him going into that room, constantly people asking players and him about the trade request? Does he stay captain? Those are all tough things to answer. But what do you think is the biggest challenge? Because we've seen this not just with Dylan Larkin, Nick. Look, Quinn Hughes left Vancouver for Minnesota. People have talked about Austin Matthews. They've talked about Brady Tkachuk. They've talked about Connor McDavid. They've talked about Connor Hellebuck. This is not an isolated incident situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're in a period where NHL players are asserting their rights, right? Like, and it is, like you can do that, right? But I think the biggest challenge for the Red Wings is look, eye on the ball here. They've got to get a return for their best player. They got to get a center somehow, whether it's through this deal or another. They needed a center anyway, right? So now you're looking at, you needed a top 6 center. You might need 2, right? So they've got, I think next season in the room and all that is secondary to getting a return on this trade that will help Detroit, or at least mitigate the loss of Larkin. And then you go from there. But I think this is a crossroads, right? And now they've got to take stock of where do they go from here, right? Like, do they take a step back before they take a step forward? How do they surround Mo Sider, who I think would be the next to wear the C, and Lucas Raymond with a better supporting cast so they can move forward. I don't know. This makes you take stock of everything and what direction you want to go.
Nick Kotsudika joining us here on X's and Bros. He writes for NHL.com, contributor there, video-wise and writing-wise, covering the Stanley Cup Finals. A game last night in which Carolina beats Vegas. What a game. First time in history where a series is tied at 1, where both teams have come from multiple goal deficits. Vegas in game 1, Carolina in game 2. What was your overall takeaway from the first 2 games of the series?
Well, it's just a hell of a hockey series, right? 2 really good teams, really dramatic games, and don't, it's amazing to me how similar they were, right? You've got one team, one game has 2 fast break opportunities, takes a 2-0 lead, right? And then it's back and forth, and then late game drama, right? It's just been really good hockey. So, I think some people might have thought this would be a little bit more of a boring defensive series, right? And it's been nothing like that at all. So, it's been hockey at its best. So, that's my big takeaway, right? But it was a huge swing last night. Vegas looked about halfway through the third period. It's 2-0 Vegas. You think, wow, they're smothered in Carolina. They're going to go home up 2-0, right, in this series. And Carolina comes back to win, and now it's a completely different ball game, right, in 10 minutes plus. So, it's going to be fun going back to Vegas.
It really is. The Howden situation is incredible. 12 goals during the regular season, 13 in the playoffs. That blows my mind. That's number one. But also, number 2, just the fact that, so many people had talked about Vegas not quote unquote belonging, even though they won the Pacific, because they didn't have enough points. What has John Tortorella done with Vegas that has allowed them to make this run? Or is it more than just the head coach?
Well, the head coach is a huge part of it. Now, the point, you can't look at the regular season point total. This wasn't a bad team. It was a good team playing poorly, right? Like, this is a team that won the Stanley Cup in 2023. I think they have a dozen players still from that team. This team's won more playoff games and more playoff rounds than any team since they joined the league, right? So they were underachieving. They weren't playing up to their capabilities. They had sort of, sagged under Bruce Cassidy, who's a really good coach, but he can wear on you, right? And they needed to change. And you think of John Tortorella as this firebrand, which he is, but he didn't come in here to give them a kick in the behind. He came in there to give them a pat on the back. Like, he reminded them of how good they are, right? Gave them confidence, gave them swagger, and made some adjustments. But that's really what it was: is just a mindset and a confidence and a fresh start. And they started to roll, right? And the first round, they're down 2-1 to Utah.
Yeah,
they look overwhelmed by this younger team's speed, and they just kind of adjusted, figured it out, veteran group, won the series. Same thing against Anaheim. They started out kind of slow, figured it out, and won the series and got better. And then, Colorado's sweep was a shocker, right? But they, some of that's injuries on Colorado's side, but, they got rolling, right? And that's what can happen with a really good veteran team. Like, you get on a roll, you figure it out, and here you are, right? So they're finally playing up to their potential. right? And a lot of that has to do with the coaching change, right? But just really aggressive, smart management.
Rod Brindamore, I look, I don't know if he's underrated or properly rated, but the most amazing statistic, one of the most amazing statistics I've ever seen is of all the, I think it's now 99 playoff wins for Carolina in the history of the franchise. He's been part of 97 of them, something like that.
Right.
What do you think drives him as a coach, and what do you admire most about how he can relate to players?
Well, obviously he's a former player, right? He's been through this. He played in the final with Philadelphia and Carolina and lost to Detroit both times before he won it with Carolina. I think the first thing you think of with Rod is Rod the Bod, right? Like this guy is in the gym. He's jacked, right? Which just shows you that he has the discipline, right? That he's going to ask of his players. Like that he wants them to be fit because they play this incredibly aggressive, demanding system where they just pressure you all over the ice. Like you got to be in shape. Well, no one in that organization is in better shape than the coach, right? So he walks it, he talks it. He's built a team that has a very strong identity. They know who they are. They know how they want to play, and they do it night after night after night. And they're just extremely difficult to play against. And entering this series, they were, the first team in 50 years to start the playoffs 12-1.
Yeah.
Right. They were just utterly dominant. And the one loss was after an 11-day break when they were rusty.
That's right.
This is a really good hockey team. So it's going to be fun to see what happens the rest of this series.
The other amazing statistic, as you already know, they become the fifth team, I believe, to ever win 13 of their first 15 playoff games. Maybe it's the sixth team. The other five went on to win the Stanley Cup. So we'll make sure that we're following your great writing on NHL.com as you continue to do yeoman's work and help us out on a regular basis. Safe travels, my friend. Thanks for the time. We appreciate the insight.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, Nick Consonica from NHL.com joining us here on X's and BrO's. Good stuff there. We get to some of your thoughts, including some of your texts that Andy's been holding on to for a moment here. We'll get to that when we come back. Don't forget 8:18. We've got the Friday six-pack. It is brought to you by Garage Beer. How many beers are you going to have this weekend? Yeah, baby. I'm going to have a few. There's no doubt about that, whether it be on the golf course, whether it be in the garage, maybe in the backyard. Maybe you and your friends are going to be talking about the Dylan Larkin situation tonight while having a cold one. We'll get to all that and more coming up here on X's and BrO's on a Friday morning. Just a reminder that Detroit in the state of Michigan in general is live with DraftKings Sports. Yeah, they're live in 50 states. So that means right here in Michigan, 2 teams are left in the NBA Finals. 1 trophy every possession, every fourth quarter swing, every clutch shot. The DraftKings Sports app is now live throughout the state, whether you're catching the tip-off at home or elsewhere. Right here in Michigan, the finals are in the palm of your hand in one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code HUGE, H-U-G-E. Spend $5. You get $200 in rewards guaranteed. That code is HUGE in partnership with DraftKings. The crowd is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older. Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. And for additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio, a limited time offer.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives. 2 world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience. And they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com. That's BIRDEASE.com/Drive Out Parkinson's to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and Bros and the Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/Drive Out Parkinson's or contact me at MitchLionsWealth.com for more info.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at Tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at Tigers.com and MLB.com.
the information is legit. And I think that he and his representation, which is CAA, it's Pat Brisson and JP Berry and that group, are dismayed that the information got out in the fashion that it did. Because when you're talking about a top-end guy like this, especially in a market like that, where, let's be honest, there aren't that many stars that play with the Detroit Red Wings. They're good players, but Dylan Larkin is kind of the one guy that stirred the drink. We saw that when he got hurt this year.
Yeah, welcome back. X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Darren Drager again from TSN. So we've had a number of sound bites from him. We've played the Dylan Larkin soundbite from a podcast of a couple of months ago and at the end of the regular season, some of the things that he has said as well. Nick Consonica, NHL.com, has joined us too to discuss this very topic. This is the hottest topic there is right now in the National Hockey League, but I think in our state. So the Tigers were off yesterday. They play Seattle tonight. It's a big deal. Justin Verlander is going to start on the 9th, I believe. He's done some rehab. He's getting ready to come back into the rotation. People are going to be excited about that. The Lions practicing, that's a big deal too. Now, I don't know how many people are focused on Kendrick Law being out for the year as a 5th-round draft pick and a wide receiver out of Kentucky. He's going to be out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. Detroit quickly moved to sign Kyrie Duplessis. Probably won't make the team. I don't know how many people are talking about that. You and I can talk about Penei Sewell moving to left tackle and the sound bites that he's sent out there regarding, the change, but it doesn't necessarily move your needle because you know how good he is. This is the thing that most people are talking about. Mitch Lyons texted me. When we do Mondays with Mitch, 718, he texted me and said, on the Larkin clip you played, he said, and I wanted to be here. I want to be here. In other words, he changed it. I wonder, he's changed it from wanted and I believed and then corrected himself to talk about it in the present. So that's a really good catch by him.
A lot of the questions he's getting asked are pretty hard to answer at that point too. So I want to give him maybe he didn't mean to, say that. I don't know. It could have just been a stutter, but at the same time, it has to make you wonder.
Yeah, I don't, I don't know if it's a stutter. I've never heard him stutter before. I try not to read too much into certain things, right. But when you do it more than once, you're talking about the past tense, and then suddenly this happens. People are going to put it under a microscope. Let me get to some texts. So fire away.
Okay, yeah, for sure. First one here. I think it's unnamed, actually. It said, could it be Illich? Illich is tight with money with the Tigers and Red Wings. Illich spent money this year with the Tigers kicking and screaming.
Well, I shouldn't take your words literally, but what do you mean kicking and screaming? That they paid Framber Valdez.
I don't know why that would be on him. I mean, that'd be on his GM, I guess, that he has hired.
No, it's on him. No, it's got to be on him. It's got to be on him. So, but when we say he hasn't spent money, this is a theme that has been relevant for a long time throughout this state. The belief that he doesn't spend money. I'm not a Chris Illich, supporter or hater. Okay, I take him or leave him. Do I think he's a good owner? No, not really. Lets his guys do his job, but has he hired the right people? I don't. It sure doesn't seem like that. So, but just let's talk about the money for a minute. How much money does he need to spend for the Tigers to be good? If you're top 10 in spending, is that not enough?
That should definitely be enough. Especially, I mean, like the division that the money they spend around him in the division, and it's not even close. So,
okay. Doesn't mean he spend it the right way, though.
Exactly. Like you can if you're basing it off of money, it definitely should be enough to compete in the division.
Without a doubt. Here's the counterpoint, and what the texter could be referring to. He was forced to pay $32 million to Tarek Skubal.
Right.
He spent on Javier Baez. He spent on Framber Valdez. He was forced to spend on Tarek Skubal. He spent $22 million on Gleyber Torres. He spent money on Jack Flaherty. Is that not enough? Hey, I'm not going to claim to know exactly how much is enough, but there is a salary cap in hockey. And from what I can tell, when you go to Puckpedia, they're among the highest spending teams in hockey as well. So what is it we mean that he doesn't spend? I'm a little confused at that.
Yeah.
If you go to Sport Track, and they do a really good job of this, the cap space, the cap hit, how much they spend, so on and so forth. Detroit spends. I mean, you almost have to in the National Hockey League, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. Now, are they the highest spending team? No. Total cap, Vegas is number 1, Colorado 2, Montreal 3, Carolina 4, Tampa 5. That's based on total cap. All right. Red Wings are not spending like they did under Mr. I, but Pittsburgh's not spending. Chicago didn't spend. Philadelphia didn't spend. Detroit spent more than Washington, spent more than a lot of other teams, but they're not near the top. I don't know if that makes him cheap or what, but he did spend money on Larkin and on Sider. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just saying I wouldn't say that he won't spend money. I don't like the way he always spends the money. Okay, next text. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, another. The first one was actually from John and Shepard. So this one
thanks,
is,
John.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
This one is unnamed. It says, I believe what has happened is that Larkin and his agent got word Larkin has been brought up in trade talks, and he wants to be the one to say he asked for it. He's also not a good leader, and Yzerman knows that.
Well, if his name's been brought up in trade talks and he wants to be the one who asks for it, he's going to have to deal with the consequences. I don't know many players who would want to take that tact, knowing that in their hometown they're now going to be vilified.
Right.
But okay, let's say that. The other thing is he's not a good leader, and Yzerman knows it. Hey, man, gosh, that's surprising to me considering how many other players, high-end players, gold medal winning players, have talked reverently about Dylan Larkin's leadership. So that's a little surprising to me. I'm not going to say that. If Yzerman didn't think he was a good leader, why did he sign him to an 8-year extension?
Yep, that's the part that wouldn't add up to me. Why would you even do it in the first place? If he didn't want to be here or didn't like Yzerman, why would he have signed it himself? I don't know. But
I don't get it.
Well, a lot of people have that view, though. That's kind of why I brought it up. Really, like people really think that he wasn't a good leader or whatever. I mean, I never saw that part of it.
You know what's interesting? What's really interesting is when players win, they're viewed as great leaders.
Exactly. That's exactly
when they don't win. Like nobody said that about Barry Sanders, of course, but when they're viewed, when they don't win, they're viewed as bad leaders. Matthew Stafford suddenly became a great leader in Los Angeles because they won a Super Bowl. If you talk to Calvin Johnson, you talk to Geister Shirless, you talk to anybody who played with him, they'll tell you he was a really good leader here. He goes to LA, they say the same thing. The difference is he won there, he didn't here. So I'm a little, I struggle with that. They said the same thing about Yzerman, by the way, early in his career when they couldn't get over the top. And Goose Loonies took place when everybody was out drinking instead of getting ready to take on Edmonton, when Edmonton beat them again, led by Wayne Gretzky, Paul Coffey, and the rest of those guys. I don't think Steve Yzerman feels that way at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have signed him to that long-term deal, and he would be viewed probably in the minority, considering how many really good players talk so highly of Dylan Larkin while playing with him in the mid-winter classic 4 Nations tournament and in the Olympics. DraftKings Sports is live in all 50 states. That means, yes, here in Michigan, 2 teams are left, 1 trophy, every possession, every fourth quarter swing, every clutch shot. Game 3 is tonight in New York. The DraftKings Sportsbook app is now live in Michigan. Whether you're catching the tip-off at Game 7 at the bar or watching every minute at home, every game, every moment you can find on one app, the DraftKings Sports app. The finals are in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers can sign up with the code HUGE. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards guaranteed. That code is HUGE, H-U-G-E. It's in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. And for additional terms and responsible gaming resources, we invite you to see to dkng.com/audio for a limited time.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. And it's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined.
The Tigers lineup took off with the return of Kerry Carpenter and Gleyber Torres. Well, now we're about to see what happens when the Tigers rotation welcomes back 3 key pitchers, Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize, and Justin Verlander. All 3 should be back within the next 10 days or so. With Framber Valdez and Troy Melton, the Tigers can roll out a starter every night who has the chance to dominate. Yes, there are still questions about just how good JV will be when he comes back, but I really believe he can pitch like he did for the Giants down the stretch last year. When they're all back, the Tigers will have an excess of starters, but Kader Montero can easily slide into a prominent bullpen role. All I know is that after watching Troy Melton work 7 and 8 innings his last 2 starts, he has to stay in the rotation. The only way to get back into the playoff picture is to get on a roll, and it's almost always led by good starting pitching.
Back with you, 18 after the hour here on X's and Bros. Thanks for being with us on a Friday morning. It has been very, very spirited, considering the news that Dylan Larkin has asked to be traded. Reportedly, has been asked to be traded. Appreciate the feedback for sure. You can always text us, Sports Radio 21,000. Call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Or join us in the chat as we stream live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. 8:18 every single Friday. We do what? We
Friday
get ready for
six-pack.
the weekend with you, and we do the Friday six-pack. Let's do it.
Sure. All right. Let's get it going. That's how you know we're getting started. Yeah,
That sounds good, baby. That sounds really good.
All right. Yeah. The first question I got for you, it's actually beer related. What is your favorite brewery outside of the Detroit area? Like other parts of the state that you've been, is there like one that you're like, I'd love to go back there, but you've only been there once because it's like further away?
When I was a kid, not a kid, when I was younger and they had a Stroh's brewery in downtown Detroit, we would go there. Yes, you get free samples at the end. We would go there just to support the city of Detroit. I think we're really fortunate in Detroit or in Michigan, the state of Michigan. We're really fortunate. My son and I were talking about this the other day on the 10th tee. And he said, we've got some great golf courses, and we do. And you and I get a chance to experience them on a regular basis. Tullymore St. Ives is unbelievable. Crystal Mountain's unreal, right? I'm going to Watermark with Mitch Lyons coming up. I'm excited about that. I've never played there, but it's supposed to be phenomenal, right? I'm going to be up at the Highlands, not too far from here. You and I have been all over the state in playing some of the greatest golf courses in America, really. We were also talking about how fortunate we are because of the great beers that we have, all right, available to us. Super excited about that. If I went outside our state, I mean, garage beer is really, really good. But if we go outside our state of Michigan, I am a big Labatt's Blue fan. So I would probably side with that. Being from Metro Detroit, we used to go to Canada all the time on the weekends because you could drink when you were 19 years old. So we would go there and we would experience all the Canadian beers. So we loved Brador. We loved Molson Triple X. We loved Labatt's. We loved Molson Golden. Those are the things we used to drink on a regular basis. So that would be the answer right there.
All right, on to the next one here. What's a city you want to visit that you haven't been to before? I know you've been to a lot of places because you traveled for.
That's a great question.
Games and stuff. So I was just wondering if there's one you still haven't been to you want to go to.
I've got one for you because I've been to just about every big city in the country that that has sports teams covering all those teams. I'll give you one. You ready? Vancouver. Now it's not obviously in the U.S., but it's Vancouver. Let me pause for 1 second here. Let me get this.
Oh boy,
this is another beer that you wouldn't mind having either.
He's got it on hand, folks.
Yeah, it's called a Sea Dog Blueberry.
Wow,
it's out of Maine.
Blueberry,
right?
okay.
It's out of Maine. It's a hint of blueberry, not a lot, but it's a hint of blueberry. But it's pretty damn good. If I could turn the camera, I would to show you. let me see if I can do that.
There you go.
There's the mini fridge.
Look at this, folks.
Okay?
We're getting it all this morning.
Yeah. So you got the mini fridge, and here's what you got. This is a good beer segment. Right up in here, you got the New Glarus out of Wisconsin.
Love New Glarus.
Yep. All right. So that's good. Spotted Cow.
That's
also
involved. One of my favorite
there.
beers, man.
That's not bad, right? So I've got that, and then I've got the Sea Dog Blueberry from Maine. So that's all right there. And you notice also there's that blue light down here too.
For
so
sure.
This is the basement fridge. It's a good question. That's the basement fridge that we got going and rolling with some beer. But I would say Vancouver is the city you would like to I would like to visit because I've never been there.
All right, I love that. I love the whole segment in general there. All right, so number 3, been talking about the wings a lot this morning. We're gonna talk about the food instead. Should wings be on the appetizer portion of the menu or the meal section? This does bug some people. Surprise.
I think it's appetizers. I couldn't have it as a full meal. I don't feel fulfilled. I think there's a lot of work there. Are you a bone-in?
I was just going to give you that for a bonus
or
question.
boneless wings?
I like bone in for sure.
So me too. I don't like the boneless. I like the bone-in wings. So I would say there's not a lot on it. Oftentimes, I don't want 20 of them to make a meal. I'll take them as an appetizer every single day. I like a mix, although I do like the garlic parmesan, probably the best. So I would take all that, but I think it's an app. How about you?
Sure. All right.
Let me ask you this. Do you think nachos is a meal?
Yeah, I think it can be. I think it can be for sure. I can eat it as a meal. Yeah. But
I have to share it. I couldn't eat all the nachos just by myself.
There's certain places I went where I would definitely do it as a meal. But yeah, I get what you mean. I think that's another great shareable one for sure. So all right.
Excuse me. Yeah.
On to number 4. We're going off of that actually. So that's kind of where I was going with this. So people are obsessed with like ranch nowadays, it feels like, right? So do you need to have ranch or blue cheese with your wings, or are you just a sauce guy? Do you not care if it's there? Like what's your opinion on that?
Okay, I don't do blue cheese. If it's a dry rub wing, then I'll use ranch. Otherwise, the sauce is just fine with me. I don't need ranch for it. Now, oftentimes those wings come with celery sticks, carrot sticks. I want the ranch for that. And I may dip a French fry in that once in a while.
Absolutely.
But I don't need it for the wings, no.
Getting towards the end here. Number 5, do you have a favorite type of bird and why?
Well, the bald eagle, because it's our nation's bird, of course. That's it. My wife loves cardinals because her father passed a while back, and she feels like that keeps her close to her father. We have a couple of red-tailed hawks in our backyard that are up in the trees, and you can hear them on a regular basis. People hide their small dogs. Those are pretty cool. But I would say the bald eagle, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, and the soaring eagle too, right?
Soaring eagle, that's a good one.
That's a good
yeah,
one.
they help sponsor the segment. Well played.
Yes, there we go. I'm getting better. Right? All right. Here. Last one.
That doesn't sound like a beer, does it? That sounds
just
more
fizzing.
like
Yeah.
fizzing, yeah. Or maybe you just tapped a keg.
Yeah, exactly. That's that. There's always something with it. Either way. What sport did you wish you played in high school that you didn't play, and why? Or did you play every sport you wanted to play in high school?
So I played football, basketball, and baseball in high school. And I loved football and baseball season for sure. 2 sports. I didn't have lacrosse back then, but I would have loved to have played it. But it coincides with baseball, so I probably couldn't have. But if I had to exchange one, it might have been basketball and hockey. I would have loved to have been able to skate and learn how to play that sport. I think it's a rugged sport. I think it's a great sport that teaches you an awful lot. The hard thing is, if you're going to play that sport, generally you have to learn to skate early on. I think my boys all learned to skate when they were about 4 years old, which is almost borderline too late. You got to learn early on. My neighbor used to play travel hockey, and I was always amazed at how often he and his brother were gone. I don't think they play any longer, but they loved the sport. I would say hockey. How about you? Would you play in high school, and what would you?
If I could have played something else, and I love baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport. I played that in high school, but golf was at the same time. I wish I would have played golf. I really, because of now how much I play it, and I still fight my baseball swing from time to time. So I wish that I played so it would benefit me now.
What position did you play in baseball?
I was second base or anywhere in the outfield. So
okay,
yeah,
all right.
Used to have speed before I started drinking garage beer. So. All right, that'll do it for this segment. So.
Start running, and maybe you'll get that speed back. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little Lions. All right, they lose a wide receiver, but there's another example of we said this yesterday, how smart Brad Holmes has been with certain players. We'll give you an example of another team within the division that did something I can't figure out, and I think a lot of people are scratching their head over. That's next here on X's and Bros. Stay with us.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1. You can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2. It's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3. Do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
I think it can change as we go. I think a lot of it's going to be dictated by what we're good at as a unit. You know, where are we the best? Where are we the most effective? Who are we playing? And how do we utilize his skill set to build on that? I mean, he does so many things at a high level that I don't think there's necessarily a ceiling or a cap on what that could look like. But I think that's going to be dictated a lot by the people around him and how pieces all fit together.
Is a big reason why this offense is going to be better. So let's hope that before last year, when they lost the two coordinators, and Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, I said it was a bigger loss losing the center, Frank Ragnow, and the right guard than it would be the two coordinators. I thought it was going to really hurt them when you didn't have Kevin Zeitler and Frank Ragnow plowing their way into the defense. Thought losing the two players was more important and a bigger setback than losing the two coordinators. How you want to judge Aaron Glenn and Kelvin Shepard is a good debate. John Morton wasn't even close to what Ben Johnson was. Neither was Dan Campbell. So you may not like Ben Johnson, but he did a hell of a job as a coordinator. And quite honestly, did a really good job with the Bears last year. I'm not a fan, but who cares? I mean, we're talking about his coaching prowess. Drew Petzing has got to be, and it's not even the creative part of it. It's more about getting guys, putting guys in the right spots and getting the most out of them and keeping defenses off balance. Dan Campbell feels like that's a huge part of it. This is what's going to be done for the Lions this year, and a big reason why they're going to be more successful. The Lions, I was on the Huge Show yesterday, and Billy does a great job Monday through Friday from 3 until 7. He's going to be all over golf courses for the rest of the month, by the way. But, and he and I will be out there at the Meyer Classic. Andy will be out there too for Wood TV with Jack Doles. He'll be out there
all 4 days.
Yeah, so excited for that for sure.
Yeah.
But the Lions, I like where the Lions are at. I don't care what the national polls say. I look at this team. I think this team is more complete and built better. I think the depth is really important. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. I think they've made some smart decisions. I know a lot of people don't like certain things that Brad Holmes has done. No general manager is going to satisfy every fan base. But I think there's a lot of people who feel like, Brad Holmes jumped the gun with certain extensions. Really good. You look back at it now, it looks really good. I want you to think about this for a second. The Green Bay Packers, some people view as the best team in the division, not yours truly, but they signed Christian Watson to a $110 million extension. He's making more than $2 million per year than Devontae Smith. Think about that for a minute. Watson signs the extension for $110 million. Hasn't had one season over 650 yards receiving. Think about it. Like, people were bitching left and right. Oh my God, well, how can you sign Jameson Williams? How can you sign Amon-Ra St. Brown? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, Amon-Ra St. Brown earned what he did. Okay. You could admit that, I hope, right? I hope so.
I mean, you should be able to. I don't know why
if you can't. I don't know how I can help you if you can't. Christian Watson has never had more than 620 yards receiving. Maybe yards isn't most important to you. Devontae Smith's making $75 million for 3 1,000-yard seasons. He's not barely squeaking by. He's blowing him away in that regard. They're both 27 years old. Smith has won a Super Bowl. He's been consistently really, really good. Okay? Christian Watson, when healthy, averages 61 yards per game. It's amazing. In his career, he's averaged 47 yards per game. Not when he's healthy, but in his career. When he's healthy, 61. When he is just playing in general, it's 47. Okay? In fact, in his career, 22-64. Those are the numbers for Christian Watson. In his career, 22-64. Got that number? Okay. Calvin Johnson, in one single season, 2012, had 1964. In other words, he had about 300 yards less in one season than Christian Watson has had in his entire career. On top of that, compare that to Isaac Tesla. Local kid, made some huge plays last year, wasn't used nearly enough as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Last year, Christian Watson had 35 rocks and 6 touchdowns. Those were his numbers for the Green Bay Packers. Christian Watson in his 4th year, 55 targets, 35 rocks, 611 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
How many games did he play?
How many total games?
Yeah, does it
10.
say that? 10, okay.
10. Okay. Isaac Tesla is a rookie on a $6 million deal. 16 receptions, 6 touchdowns. That is big time.
And he didn't play a lot at all to start. Like he wasn't even on the field like to start. So.
He was like on special teams.
Yeah.
Isaac Tesla was. It's one of my biggest frustrations from a year ago for the Lions. I don't think you were part of the show just yet, but to have just 27 targets. He had 16 catches. But he had 27 targets. He had 6 touchdowns and 16 catches. He's averaging 20 yards per reception. Okay? So bottom line is Green Bay makes a decision like that for a guy who you would think, is he even, Dobbs is better than Watson for Green Bay. And yet that's where they're spending their money. It's insane as far as I'm concerned. Simply insane. But who cares, right? I mean, how much is Watson and Jordan Love and, fill in the blank who's going to play the running back spot, since their current starter, is trying to figure out if he's going to get fitted for an orange jumpsuit or if he should be fitted for another helmet. I don't know. Thanks, Josh Jacobs. Maybe you don't even think that the Packers trio would include Watson. Like I read an article yesterday, Sports Illustrated, and the trio, they ranked the trios in the National Football League. The trio for the Green Bay Packers, obviously Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, and Tucker Kraft. And it got me thinking, what would the trio be for the Lions? It would be Jared Goff, it would be Jahmyr Gibbs, and it would be Amon-Ra St. Brown. But even if you plugged in Jamison Williams for Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you plugged in Sam Laporta for Amon-Ra St. Brown, they'd still be better than half the teams in the National Football League. That's the depth they have at that skill position. Who do you think is the best trio in the National Football League? Where do you think the Lions rank? And who do you think is the worst?
Trio. I don't know who the worst is, I guess, but
okay, here's what SI says. SI says the worst trio is Miami. Malik Willis, Devon Achane, and Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, I mean,
Achane is solid.
Yeah, Achane's good. Yeah.
Willis is, he's okay. Be a good backup. Tolbert, no thanks. Cleveland is 31. Shedeur Sanders, Quishon Judkins, and Jerry Jeudy. It's probably going to be Deshaun Watson, not Shedeur Sanders. Tennessee is 30th. Then it's the Giants at 29 with Dart and Scatteraboo and Neighbors. Raiders at 28. All we care about is our teams and our division, I should say. They've got Minnesota ranked 27. Kyler Murray, Aaron Jones, and Justin Jefferson. That's Minnesota at 27. Okay? They've got the Packers, and I already gave you their 3. They got the Packers at 18. Love, Jacobs, and Kraft. They've got the Bears, who everybody loved a year ago, at 11. Caleb Williams, Kyle Monaghay, and Colston Loveland. Where do you think they have the Lions?
8.
They have the Lions at 2.
Wow. Okay. They're giving them the credit for it.
Yeah.
Who are the 3?
Here's what they write.
Gibbs.
They write, the 3 are Jared Goff,
Gibbs.
Gibbs, and Amon-Ra.
Okay, that's what I was going to get.
Detroit remains one of the scariest offenses in football, even with the line losing a few pieces over the past few years in Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker. Gibbs totaled over 1,800 yards and 18 touchdowns as a Pro Bowler. St. Brown, 117 rocks, 1,400 yards, 11 scores. Even Goff, who took some heat while Detroit surprisingly missed the playoffs last year, completed 68% of his passes, over 4,500 yards, 34 touchdowns. It's a dynamic Motown team that needs a better defense. That's what they write. Who is the only team that would rank ahead of them, do you think?
Rams?
Correct. They have the Rams number 1, Stafford, Kyron Williams, and Puka Nacua. The Lions 2. Number 3, Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers. Number 4, Buffalo. Josh Allen, James Cook, DJ Moore.
That's interesting.
Isn't it?
Probably just had to throw somebody else in there at that point. They're just giving a lot of weight on Josh Allen, I would feel like. But
I would think so. So I probably would have Cincinnati higher.
Yeah, for sure. I think so too. Just Jamar Chase and Burrow alone.
And quite honestly, I mean, probably Kelsey brings them down. I was going to say Kansas City. I think San Francisco's trio is pretty damn good. It's an interesting little, but anyway, so they got Buffalo at number 4, Josh Allen, James Cook, DJ Moore. 5, they got Dallas, Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, and CeeDee Lamb. I think when you hear about these other teams and their trios, and this is SI suggesting it, maybe you might have a different player to make up a certain spot during the trio. But when you hear Detroit, and then you hear the possibility of Detroit other than the 3 that they chose, which is primarily the wide receiver. If you put in a different wide receiver, if you put in the tight end, you still look at it and go, man, we're really good.
Yeah,
we could easily.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, if I said to you, instead of Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you put in Sam Laporta, would you still put him ahead of Buffalo? I would.
Yeah. I agree.
DJ Moore? Really? I think Zay Flowers is a good player. Don't get me wrong. 86 catches, 1,200 yards. I'm not sure he's the number 1 guy on a really good team. He wouldn't be number 1 on Detroit, I can tell you that. Speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, and Drew Petzing just talked about him, and that soundbite we just played, Dan Campbell also feeling fortunate that he's got one of the best, if not the best, and most complete running back in football.
He's going to be our bell cow now. You know, he really became more of that last year. And, but we're going to hang our hat on him quite a bit. You know, we're going to do a lot of things we feel like he does well. Now, I've mentioned this before. He can run everything that we've got. He can run every scheme that anybody's ever run. You know, he's not just an outside runner. He's not just a space runner. He can create his own space in the middle. And some of his biggest runs have been gap scheme right down the pipe, you know, where he's had patience and found it and guys blocked it up well. So we're going to ask a lot of him.
Well, it wasn't long ago when David Montgomery went down and people wondered aloud if Jahmyr Gibbs could actually handle the workload. Do you remember that?
No, yeah, for sure. I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now people can't wait for him to handle that load.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, Dan was definitely talking a lot about him, but he didn't really someone asked him about Myles Garrett yesterday, and he definitely didn't care to talk about that really.
Yeah, exactly. All right, a couple texts real quick before we're out of here. One was from earlier in the day. Shep, you're the GM of the new team starting back in Seattle. Contracts are the same. What big 3 do you sign? SGA, Chet, and Williams, Cade, Asar, and Duran. Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges. Ooh, that's a great question. You know, I think Chet Holmgren was exposed by Victor Wembanyama a lot like Jalen Duran was exposed in the playoffs. Mikal Bridges, he has not been worth what New York gave up. My initial thought was, well, probably New York. Karl Anthony Towns with the stretch and Brunson with the clutch and all that other stuff. I'd probably go OKC. Chet Holmgren, I still think is a good player. I don't think he's worth the money that he's getting paid, but I think he's a good player. SGA is, a 2-time MVP, so it's hard. And Williams with his defense. So yeah, I would probably go SGA, or I'd probably go OKC. Shep, I would love it if a basketball player would have taken a basketball off the face the way the hockey player took the puck off the face last night. He'd be out for 6 months. Yeah, I mean that was that was what 87, 88 miles an hour.
Yeah,
right there, right square, right in the face. Let's get to the final results of the poll question, the Daily Wager. We have one for you every single day. The poll question from yesterday brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com. We asked you which rumored player should the Pistons trade for: Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Trey Murphy, or Kason Wallace. What were the final results?
Well, Trey Murphy won it at 70%, so people definitely like what we've been talking about in the show. Kyrie Irving got 20% of the vote. Kason Wallace got 10. Kawhi Leonard did not get a vote.
Who didn't get a vote?
Kawhi Leonard.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's fascinating. How'd the Daily Wager do? How'd you do last night?
Unfortunately, we broke the streak last night. Chris Sale did not back me up. I said he'd get 8 strikeouts. He only got 6, and he gave up 10 hits last night to the Blue Jays. So that was his worst start in a while. So that was not great. I'm going to go back to the old faithful for me, the NBA here tonight, especially in the playoffs. Seems to be a good time to go for it. I love what I saw from Karl Anthony Towns the other night, so I'm going to go with him tonight on the rebound section. I'm going to go for 12 rebounds right now. It's playing at plus 113, so you get plus money for it. He's hit that number 4 of his last 5 games, so he's going to get 12 rebounds.
By the way, back to your Daily Wager from last night. The Braves lose to the Blue Jays 7-2. Just goes to show you.
Yeah.
Atlanta with 42 wins, right? Toronto under 500.
Would have never guessed.
Right, and they beat up Chris Sale, 10 hits. He gives up 10 hits, as you mentioned. Threw 108 pitches in 5 2/3 innings.
Wow. I didn't even know they left him in that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, 108 pitches. His ERA, by the way, is just 2.23, even after last night. That's how good he's been.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but he drops to 8-4. So that was a good Daily Wager. I would have thought the same thing, man. I would have. Okay, but. And it's weird because Atlanta was at home. They get the last at bats and all that other stuff.
Vegas always knows something.
They know something, don't they? We hope that you know something a little bit, maybe more than you did when you first woke up this morning. We always try to make sure that that's part of the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Tell a friend, and we hope to be back with you on Monday, starting at 6:00. Have a great weekend, everybody. Don't forget the huge show later on today from 3 until 7 on these great station affiliates. Our thanks to Andy McDonald. Our thanks to Nick Contanica. Listen for that on our podcast a little bit later on today. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you Monday morning.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark